This week, we are going to be talking about an anime series that I asked you to check out, which is called Black Rock Shooter. Now, I'm really hoping that you didn't just watch the OVA, because I realised that I sent you Black Rock Shooter 2010, and I'm hoping that you watched at least 3 episodes and not just one single thing.
Yes, I did. Yeah,
Oh,
I watched 3 episodes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. We're good. Not Dawnfall. Dawnfall is the new one on Disney.
Correct.
We're not
which
watching.
I was gutted I couldn't watch on Disney. I was like, oh.
Okay.
No, I found this floating around somewhere, and it was
as we all do from time to time,
and it seemed it seemed quite a hard thing. It was quite a hard thing to find, really. It took me a while to sort of Google, because you said 2010. This seems like it was made in 2012. Yep. Or everywhere that I Googled, it said 2012 rather than 2010.
Could well be.
Yeah, whatever. But do you know what I mean? There seemed to be a lot of conflicting information, because then it came up with the Disney version, and then even this on some websites said you can watch it here on Disney. So that I kept going back to Disney. I was like, no, this definitely isn't the right one. And then someone mentioned the OVA. I was like, I don't think that's what Sam wants me to watch.
What does this mean? And all of that. So Black Rock Shooter. Let's just kind of break that down quickly. I'll give you a quick history lesson about like how this came to be, because this is a very much an of its time situation. An illustrator whose name I do not have to hand, or do I? Let me find it. I should have got this prepared earlier. I did have it prepared earlier.
Yeah.
So, Black Rock Shooter was originally just an illustration done by a guy called Ryohei Fuke, who was like quite a prolific light novel illustrator. He did lots of drawings for different series, and he created this original image of this pale-skinned girl with long dark hair and a glowing fiery blue eye and a big gun. And for some reason, a bunch of publishers decided, okay, let's make a franchise out of this. And so Hatsune Miku, which you may have heard of before, the cyan-haired, leak-spinning virtual AI songstress, made a song based on that image. And then that span off into the OVA, which was a kind of short story developed from the lyrics of the song and also some ideas that the illustrator had, which then evolved into a short series, which we have watched the first 3 episodes of today, which spanned for 8 episodes, followed by 2 or 3 different mangas, each set in their own different universe, followed by, again, 2 video games, again set in their own universe, and then recently, I think as early as last year, the Disney Plus distributed Black Rock Shooter
one picture.
Dawn
That's
4.
mental.
It is insane to me that you can, like, somebody drew something that was, everyone just went, I want to create for this. I don't care what it is. There's no context.
No, just
there's
a
no
seed.
plot.
It's just a seed that people have taken and ran with. It's kind of poetic, isn't it, in a way? And this series, in a way, is kind of poetic and metaphorical and sort of weird.
My yes.
So
please, Will, what is happening here?
I don't know. I don't know what I've watched. So there's a lot of metaphoric references here, and I feel like at this stage, after episode 3, there's this dream world going on simultaneously to these high schoolers that is just a metaphoric representation of their emotions growing up as teenage girls and their connection with one another. That's my understanding of this sort of alternate reality that seems to be playing out at the same time as our protagonists are going through high school, getting to know each other and sort of developing their friendships and growing,
navigating those relationships. Yeah.
Is that what's happening, or is it more, is it really happening? Or is that what?
Trying to ask me this? As if I have any better understanding of this than you do?
Well, you have seen more of the show than me. So I'm hoping.
I have seen more of the show. I have seen the whole show.
Yeah.
Look, it is exactly as you say. It is very metaphysical, meta commentary on what's happening in these girls' lives. It has been a long time since I've watched Black Rock Shooter. I think I first watched it back in maybe 2012. Look, it's been almost 10 years since I've watched this, like all the way through.
Yeah.
And as far as I can remember, initially it seems like what happens in the dream world with Black Rock Shooter and the various other battle girls, let's call them, is isolated, and it is meant to just be a representation of, oh, here's a psychopath who's doing psychopathic things, and that's represented of emotional damage by this character bleeding black and blue blood. Yeah. Sure, okay, fine. It's a cool fight scene. However, as I kept watching, and as the student counselor kept getting more involved, it seemed to be that no, actually, what's happening in that world is affecting characters in the real world, and only she knows that there is that link.
Okay.
But it all seems so mundane. Yeah. Like, I'm jealous of my friend. Meanwhile, in the other dimension, there's like a nuke is going off, and like somebody's lost a limb, and things are flying everywhere, and people are dying. And I'm like,
yeah.
There's melodrama.
That's a really specific criticism of it, to be honest. Like, I mean, high school, what are these, like 11, 12-year-olds, sort of 13?
These will be like, I think their first year of junior high, because they're talking about, I'm going to wait until I go to high school to get a boyfriend. So they are going to be like 13 to 16.
Yeah. Okay, so that makes sense. I don't know. I feel like their emotions are so prevalent at that age. Like yes, it's very. There's a big contrast between the two worlds in terms of the stakes, but in the girls' lives, those are the stakes. Like, those are the big things that they're worried about. Those are like the foundations of what makes them at that stage. Like, especially with Yami, whose whole existence seems to revolve around this psychopath, and then that sort of reality starts to get unwound and unpicked by Mato.
Mato, I think.
Yeah, Mato. So I think, from an outside perspective, there's a big contrast, but I don't think.
And look, I can completely get on board with the idea that when you're a teenager and when you have all these hormones flying around,
teenage girls,
especially
as we were.
Oh yeah, of course, and as we've established, we're teenage girls. Yeah, we understand the common folk, the common demographic of this podcast is.
I'm still 17. The teenage I understand all of this. What's going on?
You get it. Yeah, you get it. You're sad about things. You have emotions. But yeah, like I get it. At that age, the smallest thing and the smallest friendship and the smallest bit of jealousy are the biggest things in the world to you.
Yeah.
And I do like that it's taken a big swing and said, okay, so how can we represent this that isn't just girls like crying at each other and going to see the counselor, but let's display this as this bombastic 3D, 2D hybrid battle sequence in a weird Madoka Magica-esque dreamscape. Yeah. Like, I like that they took the swing, but the contrast is so unbelievably stark. Like, there are points when you get like 20 seconds of the most intense battle you have ever seen in your life, and then it cuts back to like the girl talking through a wooden door at a hospital.
Yeah.
And I'm like, pick one. Like, for me, like, I've watched anime, I've watched TV shows where a conversation through a closed door with directional choices and music choices and like build up has been more emotional than like a climatic final shonen battle.
Yeah.
In terms of the emotion it elicits.
So you think they cheat? They're making they're doing it cheaply. You think that this big important moment is being ruined by this
they're trying to have their cake and eat it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It's an interesting take. So
what about you? What did you think to the conflicting ways of representing these conflicts?
I don't know. I don't do well with these abstract sort of takes on things. So it was a bit jarring, and at first I was just like, I don't really get what's happening in these fight scenes. Yeah, there's a lot going on, but like I can't even tell which character it is at this point. I don't know them well enough, and their hair is similar colours, and I'm not sure who this is supposed to be because they're both very different outfits, so it's not like it's clearly one or the other.
Yeah, it's not like a clear analog. Like Mato is the Blackrock shooter, but her hair is short. Blackrock shooter's hair is very long. And like even the face looks different.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm not going to say that I like it because I didn't, but
and there we go, folks. There it is.
But I thought it as it went. I think it started off so sort of like, hey, we're doing this and we're doing this, and just deal with it. And then as it went on and it started to sort of play, they changed depending on the mood and they changed depending on the dynamic in the social situations. That's when I started thinking, oh, they're doing something a little clever here because they are mirroring the situations well, and they're showing. And do you know what? I think they do. The emotions they're trying to portray, they're really focusing in on the nuance there, like the slight changes. Because I like how Yami, her thing flips from this like really horrible situation, but it's familiar and she knows it, and she's the one that is being relied upon, and then she sort of has to make herself vulnerable a little bit by putting herself out there for Mato, and then she's feeling all the jealousy and these sorts of things that blonde psychopath girl, I didn't get a name, blonde psychopath girl felt.
Blonde psychopath girl is what I've written in my notes.
Yeah, she was feeling, and obviously she was reacting very poorly to that. She was being very manipulative, controlling.
I'm going to physically and mentally abuse you.
Yeah, and force feed your friend until she leaves. The creepy doll scene, like this girl is unhinged.
Doll, go home. The needlework on the chest,
the stairs,
was a particular
throwing
herself down the goddamn stairs.
What's going on? I mean, but on the
audacity.
Yeah.
Sorry, but the mother who comes in at the end and goes, oh, but I feel so bad for her because she was hit by a car that one time 6 years ago.
Yeah.
That I'm allowing her to role play as a crippled person. I'm sorry.
What? Yeah.
At least Mato calls that out. She sees the bullshit and she calls it out when she sees it. She's like, but what about Yomi?
Yeah.
What about her?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, at least somebody's speaking sense. We never see the mother again. She's gone.
Good riddance. But on the other hand, we have some rainbow birds that bring everyone together.
The most important story in the world.
Is it a bit on the nose for this to be like a Pride media sort of thing? Like, you've definitely got a lot of close relationships with these girls and the rainbow that the birds are sort of pushing out there. And
I didn't even consider that.
Really? Ah. Whew! New take from Will.
Hot take. I guess, as often can be the case with Japanese media and
Yami Bait, I don't know which one.
Yuri in this case, it would be whether it's Yuri Bait or whether it is just trying to portray friendships. I'm not sure, but that's a really interesting observation. That so there is a rainbow symbol, and Yomi clearly has these big emotions towards Mato as kind of like her savior and kind of the person who's lifted her out of this really abusive situation. There's definitely a queer reading into this that you could take, and I think probably that's why the franchises managed to kind of keep going for so long. Like there are no male characters to speak of. It is very much a girl-centered show. So I think if somebody wanted to read queer insights into this, then 100% they could do.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a valid take. Like there are.
I think there were a lot of lines and things, and a lot of ways they the relationship developed that led that way. And because I think, they sort of say that they don't want a boyfriend, and then like there's a lot of blushing and stuff when they're complimenting each other and sort of saying, and there's a lot of openness like that I think it does like definitely
the exchanging of gifts, like important handmade gifts to one another.
Yeah,
there's the idea of like that jealousy that we see in episode 3 towards the childhood friend that's been there since kindergarten. Like that almost takes on a more of a romantic element, you could see, like a spurned lover almost. So yeah, valid observation. I did not even think about that. I was too busy being distracted by Blackrock Shooter shooting things with her glowy blue eye.
In the dreamscape, let's call it, there doesn't really seem to be much narrative though. It just seems to be a lot of battles and a lot of like
there's no dialogue.
There's no dialogue, but there's also obviously it plays out, the scene plays out, and they either break out of the chains or they don't break out of the chains, but it never really or the monster changes. I guess they have
turned never break the chain.
Sure.
Sorry. Carry on.
That's fine. I guess they do evolve into the characters, don't they, a bit more, like the side blonde.
Yeah, you can tell which one's Yomi at the very least because she's got the glasses, so therefore I know which character this is.
Yeah, okay.
And the psycho wheelchair girl, like you can tell that it's her based on like how she presents, but initially,
but then she turns into the devil.
It is a lot more monstrous. I don't think she turns into the devil girl. I think the devil girl is
always within
a
her.
Third party.
Oh right, okay.
It's always been there, as far as I can remember, and as far as what like I could see watching these first 3 again. I think the devil girl is like a third party that's just there to kind of like cause problems on purpose.
Okay.
And then leave.
Right. Sure. Wait. Is the devil girl the counselor?
Now, this is something really interesting, and I can't remember how the rest of this plays out. But in my notes, like I went, oh yeah, it's really great that they frame the school counselor as this really positive force for good. She's lending a helping ear. She's giving them coffee. They're talking about their feelings. This is good. This is a positive message. And then every single moment with the school counselor after I wrote that note, I was like, oh no, she's forcing them to confront trauma when they're not prepared for it. Oh no, she's saying that everyone's laughing at this girl. Yeah. Oh no, she's trying to force like some sort of like traumatic experience upon these people. She's gaslighting
this girl.
She has specifically like chosen from the yearbook as having these special eyes, which I guess means that they're linked to the dream world, and she's trying to forcibly manipulate them. And I'm like, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe she's not great.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, she's neutral.
I don't think she's neutral, dude. Everything you just say, you can't say that she's... You followed into the classic trap that...
Well, it depends,
like, she does loads of good, then does loads of bad, so that's neutral. That's not how it works.
So therefore, she's dead in the middle.
That's not how it works.
But it depends, like... Can she go into the world and kill it? Is she the devil person? I can't remember from before. Like, if she is there's a lot of hints towards it. I think Mato at one point says she feels more like a middle-aged woman. Yeah. So there's like the and then the next scene is the counselor like mentally breaking one of the students, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
On the nose much, but again, you've only got 8 episodes to tell it, but could it be that she can't interact with the dream world, so she's trying to do things through that angle? Like, again, I can't remember, but it's also not very clear what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, these characters are not what they seem in a lot of situations, it feels like. Even our main character, Yami. No, not Yami, Mato. She seems... There's a weird... personality thing where she's a bit of an arsehole on the in sports, like she just hogs the ball and is not a team player. Yet everything we've seen so far is her being like thinking of others and trying to sort of friendship and those sorts of things. But get me on a court and I am nobody's friend.
And I will destroy you.
Yeah, a weird personality trait to throw to our protagonist, the hog, the showboat. I mean, she doesn't showboat, but the selfish sort of play.
But she's like the best at sports. She's like a sport prodigy, and
apparently, yeah. But
then is also this massive empath.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah, but prodigies need to pass the ball. I don't buy into the, just because you're the best, don't mean you've got to. It's a team sport. God damn it.
I don't know, man. You need to watch Blue Lock.
Yeah.
Guess what we're watching next week?
Oh, actually.
Yeah, it finished today.
Oh, wow.
I'm so excited for you to watch it.
Okay, that is more exciting.
But, just to see your... I just want there to be an episode where we
watch it
you
live?
are talking about it and you're just commentating over the top.
Oh, dear. Okay.
Oh, my God.
So, Black to Blackrock.
I want to ask you about character designs. What did you think of Blackrock Shooter herself? Like, this all stemmed from one image of this edgy, hot topic teen girl. Like, what did you think of the design work and the character design of everybody and the enemies in general?
I don't know. I think one of the first lines in the show is short skirts. And then...
Yeah, she looks across and is like, oh, so short.
Yeah. And the battle women, and even... No, the battle shonen girls are really... They're drawn very scantily a lot of the time, and I'm not sure.
Here's my hot pants and my crop top.
Yep. Honestly, I didn't really like... If we just sort of... I think a lot of my discomfort with this is to do with like the palette, the colour palettes they've used. The muted sort of toned down colours didn't really do it for me. And I think the character designs were fine, but like I don't think they popped enough. I don't think they really did enough to sort of grip me. There wasn't enough stark contrast between the characters and then the weird shape-shifting stuff around them for me to really sort of pick out a lot of what was going on. And again, we mentioned recently about like visceral reactions to stuff and visceral feelings of violence. I wouldn't say I really got that as much in this. So
yeah, there's a lot of moments where Blackrock Shooter herself is like she's bound in some sort of way, and there's like a chainsaw or something hits her, and there's like this big splash of what's maybe blood,
stuff, yeah,
blacky blue blood. But then she just gets back up and keeps fighting, and there's no sense of like, is she ever gonna lose?
Yeah,
it's almost like she's just able to just keep going and going and going. And I don't feel what the stakes are unless I know what's happening in the real world. Yeah. But also, by the end of episode 3, the implication is that what happens in the dream world can also affect the real world to a degree, because she shoots the stand-in for the sports coach person, and then she collapses in the nurse's office. So I'm like, how much sway does Blackrock Shooter have on what's happening with Mato? And how much does what Mato is doing matter to Blackrock Shooter?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, so I mean, you asked about the character designs. I don't really have much of an opinion on it because all of this other stuff is going on. I think they could be really good. I think in isolation, obviously this has come from a drawing. I feel like in isolation, they could be like, oh, that's a really cool design. But in terms of the show, I don't really get that. There's too much going on for me really to appreciate what's happening.
No, I do agree with that. I think if you've got a character whose eye can burn like with a cool blue flame, and that isn't the most striking blue color you've ever seen in your life, then you're wasting that gimmick.
Yeah,
like it should be like front and center when that happens, that you know that shit is about to go down. And here it just felt like, oh, it's just happened.
Yeah,
and she's won. Cool, whatever. Also, maybe a bit simple in terms of the designs. Like, they are quite basic. If we're to compare to another show that came out around the same time and was also doing trippy visuals, like Madoka, their designs had a lot more going on. Yeah. But also, like you said, the palette was striking. Like, you think of Madoka, you think of the bright pink of her costume, and it's very, very striking. Here, it's pasty white girl with black hair and like 3 filters over the top of the blue for her eye, and I'm like, nah, come on.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, what we thinking about this overall? I don't think, if I was going to carry on watching this, I don't know which way I'd want it to go. I almost want to keep the two worlds separate, but it feels like, from what you've said, that there might be more merging of the two.
Feels like they're going to start interacting, right?
Yeah, but I don't know who watches this.
Weebs who saw the illustration. It's the same people who watch this are going to be the people who love Hatsune Miku. They see one really cool character design and they make it their entire personality for the rest of their life.
Okay, but apart from...
And I'm sorry to say it, but...
Apart from those, though, is anyone going to get... I think there is a place for this in terms of the friendship that these girls experience. And if you focus on that storytelling, there's definitely something...
You'd have 4 episodes.
Yeah, yeah. But then it seems just a weird dynamic, a weird shift to throw in all of this combat and metaphorical stuff that has such a...
I don't know what you're talking about. Well, could you imagine that whenever we have a disagreement on the podcast, and whenever we start arguing with one another, in some other dimension, there's like facsimiles of us having some sort of epic grand katana battle, shooting at each other and doing whatever, and then whoever wins that wins the point and gets to choose whether a show is good or not, or wins the debate on whether it should be boneless chicken or bone-in chicken. Like,
yeah,
that sounds like a cool concept.
It kind of does. Like, I know you're doing it. It's very
a shame it's not executed very well.
But it kind of sounds like a cool concept. I'd quite like to see that. Just these mental battles going on, even if it's just metaphoric, but like this other world where I'm trying to think of like other examples, because it resonates with me with sort of Love is War. What's that?
Or Kaguya, where it's like there's the high level, like thinking about 1,000 different things, and it's all represented in the most bombastic way.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just like, oh, but we're just sharing an umbrella.
Yeah.
Like, that works.
Yeah.
I think this is maybe too high concept. Like, it is, on paper, this is the coolest thing you've ever read.
Yeah, it could be like, really good.
Our interpersonal relationships are represented by this, manifested in this amazing 2.5D battle shonen that is going wild with the coolest drawing that the internet has ever seen. And it fails to deliver on either part.
Yeah.
Like,
I think there are some big issues.
I wouldn't say...
Like some big story... Sorry. Some big issues, as in emotional issues, that these children are dealing with that are quite sort of interesting to explore. Like this idea of obsessive friendships and... control and manipulation, and it's got like these dark undertones that I think are quite interesting. But are they exploring that? I think if they focused on that, it'd have been good.
Mm-hmm. You could definitely like split this show dead down the middle.
Yeah,
and I think you could have a compelling show for both sides. You could have a really character-driven study of teenage girls and their emotions and healthy ways to deal with that. And then you could also have like this bombastic, insane battle shonen about battle girls who are scantily clad and like to blow each other up. Yeah, like you could have both
potentially, but
and if you smashing them together takes away from either side.
Yeah, if you tone down a lot of the sensitive issues and stuff with the friendships and just had mundane high school drama that is less emotionally jarring, I guess, then you can shift to this fantasy world and have it played out really dramatically because the issues are really lighthearted. It's, oh, she didn't sit with me at lunch, or they
and so in the other world, like a crevice opens up and like the characters are separated by
And that's the juxtaposition. But here, you've got you've got both are so dramatic and deep things that it's like, what are you going for? What emotion do you want me to feel?
Also, the level of forgiveness that they come at, like they resolve the issue. The battle is won. The battle girl has been defeated. And then we're just forgiving the blonde girl for years and years of abuse.
Yeah.
Apparently so.
Yeah. They still want to be friends. Nah, cut that. What? Cut that person from your life. In true 2023 fashion, we're going to just...
Get rid of them.
Get rid of them.
Get them out of here. Focus on yourself, babe.
Yeah.
Focus on self-healing.
Yeah.
You're number one. Good Lord.
The only person
anyway
a girl can rely on is herself. Anyway.
Damn right, sister.
Yeah. So it's a weird show. Go check it out. Why not?
It's a weird show. Yeah. I mean, I feel maybe sometime we can check out the OVA and see if that's like a more complete crystallization of what this is. Maybe the new show fixes a lot of the problems that we've like talked about. Cool. It's something that we can explore. Because I feel like there is a lot of potential here. I just think that in this particular instance, they'd found what they wanted and they were just like, okay, just get something out there as fast as possible so that people will keep buying this and it stays in the zeitgeist for as long as possible. And I mean, here we are 10 years later talking about it, so something worked.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Should we move on?
Let's move on.